A Journey to the Moon. I was an old man now, but I still remembered that day, the day I left Earth, the day I saw my home from far away. It was the most beautiful and saddest moment of my life. As a child, I loved looking at the night sky. The stars shone like tiny lights, and the moon seemed close yet so far away. I dreamed of flying there, of touching the surface, of seeing the world from above. Many people laughed at my dream, but I never gave up. Years passed. I studied hard, trained my body, and became an astronaut. It was not easy. The training was tough, and the waiting was long. But one day, my name was called. My dream was about to come true. The rocket was ready. I put on my suit and walked to the launch pad. My heart was pounding. I climbed inside and took my seat. The countdown started. 3, 2, 1. Then a loud roar shook the ground. Flames and smoke filled the air. The rocket lifted off. As we flew higher, I felt heavy. Gravity pulled me down, but the rocket pushed me up. The earth grew smaller below me. Cities, rivers, mountains, all disappeared into a blue ball floating in space. I could not take my eyes off it. It was my home, yet I was leaving it behind. After hours of travel, we reached the moon. The lander touched the surface gently. I looked out of the window. Everything was silent. No wind, no life, only endless grey dust. I took a deep breath and stepped outside. My boots pressed into the soft ground. I was finally here. Then I looked up and saw the earth, a small blue dot in the darkness. From here there were no borders, no countries, no war, just one planet, shared by all. I felt a deep sadness. Why did people fight? Why did they hate? From space, everything seemed so simple. Tears filled my eyes. I had left Earth to find something new. But standing there, I only wanted to go back. I stood on the moon, my feet sinking into the soft dust. The silence was endless. No birds, no wind, no voices. Only my own breath inside the helmet. It felt like time had stopped. I took slow steps, feeling lighter than ever before. Every movement was smooth, almost like floating. The sky was black, but the earth glowed above me. I could see its blue oceans, its white clouds, its green lands. It looked peaceful, so different from what I knew. I thought about my childhood. I grew up in a small town where life was simple, but even in that small place, I saw people argue, fight, and hurt each other. They argued about money, power, and differences. They built walls between themselves. I never understood why. Now, from here, those walls didn't exist. From the moon, Earth had no lines, no borders. It was one home for all, yet down there people acted as if they owned it. They fought over land, over colour, over beliefs. They destroyed what they should protect. I walked further. Each step took me deeper into my thoughts. I remembered my father's words. People only see what's in front of them. They never look from far away. He was right. If only they could stand here, if only they could see what I saw. Maybe then they would understand. I reached a rock and sat down. Looking up, I saw the stars shining bright, untouched by human hands. They had been here long before us. They would be here long after us. We were so small, yet we acted as if we were the centre of everything. A deep sadness filled my heart. We had so much beauty on earth, but we didn't appreciate it. We had so much love to give, but we chose hate. From here, none of it made sense. I closed my eyes and whispered, "If only they knew." I opened my eyes and looked at the earth again. It was spinning slowly, glowing like a bright jewel in the dark sky. I thought about the people living there, millions of lives, each with dreams, hopes and fears. Yet, so many wasted their time on hate and war. I remembered my youth. I was full of anger then. I blamed the world for its problems. I thought I was different, better than others. But now, sitting on this lonely rock in space, I saw how foolish I had been. We were all the same, just tiny people on a tiny planet, fighting over things that didn't matter. A tear formed in my eye, but it didn't fall. There was no gravity here to pull it down. I smiled sadly. Even my tears were weightless in space. But the pain in my heart was heavy. I thought about the wars I had seen, the people I had lost. I thought about children with no homes, families torn apart. From here, it all seemed so small, so unnecessary. Why couldn't people see what I saw? Why couldn't they understand that we were one? I touched the ground beneath me. The moon was quiet, empty, no war, no hunger, no lies, just silence. Maybe that was why it felt so peaceful. Maybe that was why I felt so alone. I wanted to stay here forever, away from the noise of the world. But I knew I couldn't. My time was limited. Soon I would have to return. Soon I would be back on Earth, where people still fought and suffered. I sighed and stood up. I had one last thing to do before leaving. I had to take one last look, one last moment to remember. I wanted to carry this feeling with me, to never forget what I had seen. I took a deep breath and whispered, "Please, let them see what I see." As I stood on the moon, staring at the earth, a deep sadness filled my heart. I thought about all the people who lived there. I thought about the children playing in the streets, the parents working hard to feed their families, the old men sitting alone, remembering their past. From here they all seemed so small, so fragile. I closed my eyes and let the silence of space surround me. No voices, no sounds, no cries of war, just peace. But I knew that peace did not exist on Earth. People fought over land, over power, over ideas. They built walls between each other, forgetting that they all came from the same place. I had once been one of them. I had believed in those walls. I had thought that my country, my people, were more important than others. But now, looking at the earth from so far away, I saw the truth. There were no borders from here, no nations, no rich or poor, just one world, one home for all of us. I thought about the mistakes I had made in my life, the words I had spoken in anger, the times I had turned away from someone in need. If I could go back, I would do things differently. But time did not move backward. It only moved forward like the earth spinning in the darkness. I wanted to stay here forever, away from the pain of the world. But I knew I couldn't. I had to go back. Maybe I couldn't change the world, but I could change myself. I could share what I had seen. I could tell others that the things we fight over do not matter. That in the end, we are all the same. I took one last deep breath. The air in my suit was cold, but my heart was warm. I had come to the moon searching for something, and I had found it. I had found the truth. I whispered into the silence. Maybe one day they will understand. I turned my eyes back to the earth, shining like a blue jewel in the endless black sky. It looked calm from here, peaceful. But I knew the truth. I knew that down there people were suffering. Some were hungry, some were cold, some were alone. I thought about the wars, the hatred, the endless fights over power. And yet, from this distance, none of it seemed to matter. I imagined a child looking up at the night sky, just as I had done when I was young. Did that child dream of touching the stars? Did they wonder about the universe, about the meaning of life? Or were they too busy surviving, too lost in the struggles of the world to even dream? I pressed my hand against the glass of my helmet. If only I could reach out and hold the earth in my hands, protect it from itself. But I was just one man, standing alone on the moon, powerless against the pain of billions. Still, I could not let go of hope. I thought about my own past, the times I had been selfish, the moments I had chosen anger over kindness. How many times had I hurt others without realizing it? How many people had I ignored, thinking their struggles were not my problem? Here, so far away from it all, I could see my mistakes clearly. I wished I could go back in time, fix what I had broken, hold the hands of those I had left behind. But the past was like the dust beneath my feet, untouchable, lost in the wind. I looked down at my footprints on the moon's surface. They would stay there forever, untouched by wind or rain. A part of me left behind in this lonely place. But on earth, footprints faded, time erased everything, and people forgot. Would they forget what I had seen? Would they forget that we were all one, all connected? I took a deep breath. I could not change the past, but I could change the future. And maybe, just maybe, if I told my story, someone would listen. Someone would understand. I whispered to the earth, to the people who could not hear me, please, do not waste this gift. Do not waste this life. I stood there for a long time, watching the earth as if it were the most fragile thing in the universe. From here, it looked perfect. No borders, no wars, no hatred, just a bright blue world floating in the dark. But I knew the truth. I knew that somewhere, right at that moment, a child was crying from hunger. A man was fighting in a war he did not start. A woman was sitting alone, longing for someone to love her. I closed my eyes, feeling a deep sadness in my heart. I had seen so much in my long life. I had seen kindness and cruelty, love and loss. I had seen people rise, and I had seen them fall. And now, standing here, I felt smaller than ever. What was I in the grand universe? Just one man, just one voice. Could I make a difference? Could I change anything? The silence of the moon was heavy, almost unbearable. I missed the sound of birds in the morning, the laughter of children, the soft whisper of the wind through the trees. I missed the scent of fresh rain on the ground, the warmth of sunlight on my skin. Here there was only stillness, no sound, no smell, no life, just dust, rocks, and the endless black sky. A tear slid down my cheek, hidden inside my helmet. I never thought I would cry on the moon, but maybe this was the only place where I could truly understand the world I had left behind. Maybe only from this distance could I see how precious it was. I touched the cold surface of the moon and whispered to myself, "One day they will understand. One day they will see what I see." I turned away from the Earth and looked at the spacecraft that would take me back. It was time to leave, time to return to the noise, the chaos, the beauty, and the pain of life. But as I took my last steps on the moon, I made a silent promise. I would not forget this moment. I would not forget what I had seen. And if there was even the smallest chance to make the world a better place, I would take it. As the engines roared and I felt the force of gravity pulling me back, I took one last look at the moon, a lonely, quiet place, a place that had changed me forever.